It is that time of the week where we listen to Steve Young give his takes on the game prior, and he typically talks about Brock Purdy as well as he joins Tolbert and Copes on KNBR. And man, it's a little bit bittersweet because this is going to be the last time that we hear from Steve Young on KNBR until next year. So it's also kind of a bit therapeutic too, because obviously it's been a rough week for 49er fans. And something about Steve Young talking 49ers football, it's just calming on the ears. It kind of something about Steve just makes you feel like it's going to be all right, even though we're really going through it right now with the 49ers loss to the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Just something about Steve, man, just calms you down, lets you relax, just hear from Steve, the Hall of Famer, and just kind of break it down how he typically does. So one of the, I think, big measuring sticks from this game was trying to determine, like, oh, can Brock Purdy deal with the pressure? Is he really that guy? And all those different types of things. And so Steve Young gives his take on Brock Purdy and kind of like if he answered the question, if he's capable of being that guy, and also just kind of gives a full breakdown on the Super Bowl matchup in general. A tough one. So this will be the last time that we listen to Steve Young. So take a listen right here as he joins KNBR.
So I read something today, and I'm hoping we can put this to – I think we put it to bed months ago, but it kept popping up. But when Albert Breer was talking to Spagnuolo, and he said that they had to adjust to what Purdy was doing early in the game because he was shredding our zone, we had to go to more man-to-man, and that's coming from one of the more well-respected defensive coordinators in the game. Because I don't plan on revisiting this next year unless some idiot national media member decides they want to. But even then, I'm going to fight it. Don't we have enough ample evidence that this guy can win a Super Bowl? Like, I have no problem having Brock Purdy be a quarterback on a team and thinking, even if they didn't have all this talent, I could see him winning a Super Bowl. The whole well, he has all the talent. Well, yeah, you know what? So did Peyton Manning. So did Joe. You had some talent. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks out there that had great talent. No one's saying, yeah, give it back. I don't want all this talent. This sucks. They're going to take all they can get, but they're making it seem like Purdy couldn't do it without the talent. I'm like, no. That's not the case. I have no doubt this guy could win at the highest level with less talent. Now, you need some talent because every quarterback does, but he's fine. Like, that's not a position that I would even think about worrying about for a long time.
He had, like, the Super Bowl was not too big. It was, no. I can guarantee you there's not going to be a time. Now, strangely, the divisional game against the Packers was weirder for that, right? It was like he had that look like I don't know what the answer is. I'm not sure. So we'll have to watch in the rain in the future. We're not sure.
Yeah, the rain.
We're going to watch that closely, but there's not a moment that's going to be too big for him. He's going to be present. Even the last play of the game for him when he had to throw it away, you could see right after like he looked at it and he's like he came open, didn't he? Like and that's that awareness that we talk about that's elite and kind of supreme. And again, he told you after the championship game, I'm not the biggest, I'm not the fastest, I'm not the strongest. So what he's saying is, I'm going to do it in my own way, and I'm going to do it mostly retail. In other words, give me a great play, give me some great players, and I will light you up, right? I go back to what I just said, though. So much of the game today, not big, huge bulk of the game is doing what I just described, which is his superpower. But there's a big part of the game where he's going to have to figure out how to match. Though, if we're talking about Super Bowls, we're talking about championship football, we're talking about January, February football. He's going to have to figure out, and Kyle's going to figure out how to make him the 11th guy out of the huddle, attacking his presence to the line of scrimmage. The threat, because that is a difference maker. That is the game today, as we just talked about me, get off my lawn. And so that's the part that Brock showed signs of, but has to develop. And that's the one thing. Other than that, he couldn't ask more from a young quarterback to go do what he did.
And holy crap. We talked last week, Tom, and we said, hey, look, if those 4 defensive linemen bring it, we should be fine.
Yep.
And they brought it.
Yep.
They brought it, and I don't know if your voice is ringing in my ears in this, kind of end of the first quarter, being the second quarter is like, it's on. They bringing it. They got him running around like they don't have an answer for it.
Yep.
And so we got to make hay. And in championship football, it's like there's no feeling out. There's no. We talked about this last week. It's like if you're gonna rip it from bloody hands, you got to go. And man, we spent 3 quarters trying to get going, and the defense, I thought defensive line really brought it. I really want to tell those 4 guys, thank you. Chase Young for making up for the loaf, in the championship game.
Yep.
He decided, whatever it was, he decided, you know what, I'm gonna play every down like it's my last. And in the Super Bowl, I appreciated that effort from those 4 guys.
Yeah, novel concept when you get in the playoffs. Hey, maybe we should play hard. Maybe we should do every play like it's going to be our life. Yeah, the thing that and I'm not going to blame him for this because it's football and it happens. But the first half to me was defined by the McCaffrey fumble, because that drive was just click, 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 click right down the field.
Yep.
And then
classic, right? Classic.
And then false starts that just killed the drive. Like all of a sudden it's 2nd 15 or 2nd 18. Yep. You're like, well, now we're screwed because we're probably going to get 18 yards against his secondary. And it was just like little things that kept them from really putting the car in 5th gear. And they were like on that track. Like they looked like, they got this. Boom, 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 boom. They're going to score this drive. Field goal, looks like a touchdown. And then the fumble just kind of, and then the false starts and you look up and you're like, oh, we're not ahead enough. We've dominated this first half, and we're not ahead nearly enough. And I'm sure every Niner fan got the feeling that we did, because I said that was the most stressful game I think I've ever watched. It's just like that feeling in your gut, like, oh, this isn't good enough. This isn't big enough. This isn't. We had our chance and didn't take it. Yeah,
and especially in games like this, there's 25 things that I can think of, not exaggerating, that oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. I mean, but the stress was real. It was palpable. In my home. My girls, their first fall of loving football, and they're pulling their hair out, man. They can't take it. Finally, I told them to take a walk. You got to take a walk. You got to go. I came up with an excuse, honey. I'm going to go put some air in the tires. I gotta get out. This is too. It's worse. It's worse not playing. Playing is not as bad as watching. No. Coaching, watching. If you as an ex-player, there's nothing. Honestly, it's harder watching. Like I'd rather play, and it wouldn't be nearly as stressful as watching, because you can't do anything about it. You just brutal. You just watch. You just brutal. I go, it hurts. It hurts worse after you lose. But I go, when you're playing, you're just playing. You're just trying to figure out how to win a basketball game, football game. It's like, but you don't get caught up in what everybody else is getting caught up in. And it was just. And it's so magnified. You're right. Like every little decision, like when Burford misses the block, and you're thinking, because I thought at that point, even though McCaffrey got stuffed on 2nd down, like, well, maybe just run it twice and just go for try to get a first down here, so you don't have to settle for a field goal. But they had the play. Jennings won on that route. Like if you give Purdy an extra second, that's a first down, maybe a touchdown. Right. But miscommunication. Right. And all of a sudden, Jones is in, like the one guy you don't want in. He's in. Play gets blown up, and now it's really hard to go for it, 4th and 4. So you kick the field goal, and you turn the ball over to Mahomes, and everybody at that point. But Spagnuolo's going to get. That's the whole point. That's why they're good. Yeah. And that's why they've been such a better defense, is that they put you in that jam constantly. And so, I get that. It happened at the worst possible time, but. I mean, can we go backwards a little bit? Because go back to the first half and even to the 3rd quarter, like we're the best in the league coming out of halftime. Yeah, the game might be a lot of games were not in hand yet, and they, we had to make a statement, and we just made all kinds of statements all year long coming out of halftime. And to go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Now you're in a 1-quarter game with, you don't want to bring what is it? I don't want to bring a knife to a gunfight. I do not want to be in a 1-quarter game with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, so that's where the first 3 quarters, I look at the end of the game, I'm like, no, we shouldn't. What? No, this is not the way we're going to do this. It's not going down this way. And so I do see the little things that happened towards the end, but so much of it was. You're right. The game's so wide open today, Tom, that a field goal effort from the 25 is just kind of table stakes, right? And the touchdown's the thing, but the idea that you're going to hold Pat down and especially late when things kind of you get a little more haywire, and you notice that the real true value in championship football in 2024, and it's been this way forever, but even more so today, is the ability to go off platform to 4th and 1. I got it. We got to get it down into the red zone. I got it. Even the last play, RPO, I got it. I'm going to put them on. I'm the 11th guy out of the huddle. When the 11th guy, the quarterback, can come out of the huddle and put pressure on the defense, not just for the execution, not just for the processing, because that's a superpower, we get that, but can put the pressure on the defense with his physical body, is where championship football seems like it really comes down to every year, those big moments, those big plays. And I think Patrick's just that guy that has that ability, all of it. And I think that's just, in today's world, how you do not want to get in any kind of fight with that kind of a guy late. Never. No. Yeah. The answer is a hard no. I don't want that ever again.
Hard no.
So, Steve, you stepped into, when you became the starter for the 49ers, basically championship or bust circumstances. So I think you're probably somewhat uniquely qualified to speak to the kind of pressure that Kyle is under right now and what this, because that's what it is for him. Nothing else matters at this point in terms of the narrative other than, can you win a Super Bowl? That's got to be incredibly difficult. And I guess fundamentally, I want to know, do you think there is anything at all to the concept of him not being able to win a big game, or is it just a matter of tough competition and, a couple mistakes?
It's just another hurdle you got to knock down, Matt. And in the end, there's, you either have the bone in your body that doesn't falter or there's some people that just don't rise up. They don't feel the moment. They don't understand it. They don't have the context. And it's like we rise up all the time. Like, I'm not afraid of at the kind of flesh and bones kind of rootedness of who he is and who we are. I'm not afraid of that. But until you do it, it's the easy narrative. Now, you haven't done it. Well, really, bro? Poindexter, I didn't know that we haven't done it yet. But you have to own it. When you haven't done it, just own it. I haven't done it. That's it. Bottom line, haven't done it. No mitigating factors, not 1,000 things that went wrong. Nothing. No, I haven't done it. And just recognize that it makes no sense to try to explain it or defend it or minimize it or anything else. It's like, no, this is the ultimate thing. It's like a thing about Everest, right? It's like, oh no, I climbed K2. Oh, great, that's awesome. Have you been to Everest? No, I've been in base camp and I've climbed up and the weather came and, well, call me when you put the flag on top. And that's just the nature of life. That's the nature of competitive anything. With darts, it doesn't matter. You got to get to the top of the mountain, and when you haven't been there, it doesn't mean you can't get there. That's a bad narrative. There's nothing about what they're doing, what the 49ers are doing as an organization in the locker room, what Kyle's doing, that prevents them from getting there. They just haven't gotten there, and that's just and we all know you need a lot of help. You need to catch the right. Look, we went all in this year. All in. We're going to try to go again all in next year. I get that. But just financially, from Jed, from everybody, we're all in this season. Chase Young, go get him. Get wherever. It doesn't matter. Get everybody. Anybody that can help us, go get them. And then we hit a nice, let's be honest, with the Packers and the Lions is probably as good as case scenario. We almost blew both of them, but that's a nice, if you said to me at the beginning of the year, okay, you're going to have to beat the Packers and the Lions, and then you're going to see a middling Chiefs team. Now, they got better towards the end, but the Chiefs are going to get better. They're in a transition period right now. And so that's why, to me, this one is particularly painful because we have the advantage in the roster. We have more talent than anybody. We had it set up nicely at home. We didn't have to travel very far neither day for the Super Bowl. And we had the Chiefs not in their best year.
And so we had it all. And so that's, to me, that's the maddening part, is that, okay, if not now, when? And we're just going to have to go create another opportunity. And those are, you know how hard that is. We watched it. It's hard, but, you know, there's no one in the building that isn't about to go do the same thing. And if Matt, your question is, can he not win the big one? If there was something about their unwillingness, his unwillingness to go grind it out, to go get there again, then I'd say that there's a problem. But I just don't look at it that way. I look at it like you just got to keep climbing, and you'll get there. He'll get there sometime. But there's guys that, and in other words, it doesn't matter because it defines you anyway.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't get, you know, you spent your whole career, you didn't get there. Dan Marino, I saw him recently, and it's like he wears it, and it really, it's just so frustrating for him, right? Because it's Super Bowl time, and he's like, you know, it's just, you can't, it defines you whether you like it or not. And so that's why it means so much to Kyle to get there, and for everybody else.
Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing.
100%. They wear it all the time.
Wear it all the time. And is it fair?
And then when you get one,
doesn't matter.
You can't imagine not getting two. Like you're like I always tell you guys, I throw up in my mouth thinking about 1998 and going to Atlanta and screwing that up. Like, what the holy hell was that? You know? Or we talk about 92. Like, you know, you just have so much that, you know, so many opportunities that you had to go take another or two or three. It's just, damn.
It's so funny because I've talked to you about this, and we talked about it yesterday, and that it doesn't matter how many Super Bowls, how many NBA championships, World Series you win, you're going to think about the ones you didn't win. I go, that's just the 100%. Nature of, I go, that's athletes. I don't know why athletes are built that way, but it's just like you think more about the one that got away than the one you won. I'm not sure why, but Tom, I just know that's the case.
You'll resonate with this. I feel like there's a big book of all the accomplishments in the world, and you want to write in the book. You want to write it, you know, and you're never done. Like they try to take the pen from you. No, you know, I've got more to write, and you never. And even when you quit, you're like, I should have written more. I should have written more in the book. And it's just the nature of. That's how, you know, how do you win Super Bowls? How do you get to be the best? That's the mentality that gets you there. That's how it works.
Again, man, bittersweet that will be the last time we hear from Steve Young on a regular basis on KNBR. For the rest of the year, it's still kind of hitting me that it's the off season and that we have no more football to talk about. And now we're moving on to free agency and the draft. And of course, the 49ers make a coaching change with Steve Wilks, and we lost a couple other coaches to other teams. So there's some hirings that need to be done. It's just crazy that we're at that point of the year, and you know, this will be the last time we hear from Steve. Definitely a little bittersweet. Always enjoy his time on KNBR. His rapport with Tolbert and Copes is phenomenal, and just being able to get the insight. Again, one of my favorite things about listening to Steve talk, I love how he says "we." It's one of my favorite things. You know, one of the things you hear and, like, you know, from journalists and all that type of stuff is you never say we when discussing a team, because it's them and you are separate from them. But I mean, man, Steve is a 49ers legend. He still talks about them as if he's a part of the team. We didn't do that. We did this. And again, it's great to listen to Steve and give his kind of final thoughts on a very difficult Super Bowl matchup. You know, his thoughts on Brock Purdy. Like, obviously, he's had a lot of high praise for Brock Purdy all year. And again, like, we know what it is. Brock is never going to be your Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen type, that's who Steve Young, like, associates with. He I don't think he would look at Brock and be like, yeah, we're similar. I think he sees like a difference in their play styles, but he's also able to understand that there's a difference in play styles, but also be able to associate the qualities that he has that make him a good quarterback. And again, that's why we love Steve. Like, is you know, Brock ever going to be that guy like Steve Young? Probably not, but he still can win in his own ways. And again, the moment wasn't too big for him. He could handle it, and I think he answered all the questions. What did you think from hearing about Steve Young? There's still parts of the interview that you can listen to the full thing on KNBR on their podcast. I linked it in the description, so you can go take a listen to the full interview. He talks about Steve Wilkes and all those different types of things as well. You can go to the link and listen to the full thing on the KNBR's channel, on their podcast link. And yeah, it's bittersweet. It's the last time we're going to hear from Steve this year until next season. And so I don't know if there's going to be another one like this one, especially with all the Brock Purdy slanders. But hey, never say never. So always great to hear Steve and KNBR link up, and absolutely love it. Let me know what you guys thought about what Steve had to say and everything below in the comments. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.